Dude, I drank that whole bottle, and I hadn't slept 20, 26, 27 hours at this point, and there was a bag of mushrooms, and I just grabbed as many as I could fit in my hand. So I walked over to the counter and grabbed a 6-pack and literally just walked to my car and just drove. I do not remember getting on the highway. And the next thing I remember is I wake up in my house that I'm not supposed to be in, and Paige and the girls weren't there. I remember my older brother asking me like, dude, what about your wife? What about your kids? What about them? Like, what wife, bro? What kids? Like, they're gone. You know, I've never witnessed a more clear love of our Father than what Paige did for me. You know, part of like my struggles growing up is I've always struggled with Christianity, the sense of like, I understand that he died for our sins, but you don't know me though. You don't know my sins, right? And she knew me.
Yeah.
And she still, stuck around. And so there was this sense of like, dude, encouragement, hope.
Yeah.
That's not human. It was like, wow, it's really had a big impact on me.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, TJ Fields.
Yep.
Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
We golfed yesterday, and it wasn't too pretty for either of us.
It was a good time, though.
You had excuses, and I did not. You weren't using your clubs.
Everyone's got excuses.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I do know this. I do know you hit the golf ball really far.
I tried.
And it probably wasn't showcased as much yesterday. You're using your dad's rubber band,
Yeah.
But, okay, for those who don't know you, just maybe do an introduction, like who you are, a little bit about your family, things like that.
Yeah. Like you said, my name's TJ. I'm 31. I have a stud wife named Paige. 2 beautiful stud daughters, Annie and Max.
Yeah.
My parents are Tom and Shelby Fields, who pastor the Garden here in Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
Awesome people. My brother, I have a middle brother named Stephen Fields, who also is on staff there at the Garden. Does awesome stuff. And my oldest brother, Evan. So I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. We moved here to the Tri-Cities when I was 1. And so this is really where
Where from?
Originally, I was born in Silverton, Oregon. And
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically where we were at before. Oh. So
I'm going to be honest with you. I've never heard of Silverton.
Yeah, it's a very, very small town.
Okay.
Very small. But yeah, that's where that's where we came from.
Yeah.
Really. And my dad's got this really, really cool story how we ended up here and all that kind of stuff. That's all cool. God stuff, So, but yeah, I've been here for a minute. Grew up here, went to school here.
And you live right now. You were telling me yesterday about this, but when we were golfing. But you live in Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, I do.
And you're in the marketplace, and I mean, and you probably won't say this, but I mean, for those who don't know you, you've been successful not in the sense of maybe just the end result, but just Stephen and I, your brother, were talking about this a few months ago. I was telling you, but like. You've been successful in a lot of different sales and marketplace kind of responsibilities. It's just kind of a gifting you have. And so right now you're working over in Pittsburgh. And it seems like you like it.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
We love Pitt. Not just, obviously, like the job's great. But the area that we're in and like the church we're planted in and the relationships that we're building over there are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's
so tough. I mean, I feel like there was one season where my wife and I actually talked about, if we were going to move or not and what that whole looked like. She had brought it up multiple times, but I never actually considered until there was this one moment. And, one of the biggest things was like, okay, well, we don't know anybody if we move there, which is okay. But it's like if we don't find some sort of community, we can only do that for so long. We have to find people. If not, it's going to be difficult, especially when you have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different if we're both 23.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we're going to do whatever we want.
Exactly. Yeah, but that was the driving factor.
Yeah.
Of like, we have to figure something out.
Yeah,
we have. Our oldest is very relationship driven.
Yeah,
like she needs that, and so it was very, very important to us to find a spot to grow and like even the gym, that we go to, there's childcare, and our girls love going.
Yeah.
So it's like
that's what's
all
important.
that sort of stuff is obviously really important.
Yeah.
But,
well, okay. So you were telling me yesterday that, what is it? You're almost at 33
yeah,
months?
I'm almost at 3 years. The end of December.
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, end of December, I'll be clean and sober 3 years. I'm like 32 months right now.
Yeah. So, okay. Take me back to the beginning of the story. I'm probably going to learn some of it. I mean,
Yeah.
you've told me bits and pieces and whatnot, but we both were raised pastors' kids, and it's I don't need pity for that in the sense of like it's not like the challenges we face are so much worse than other people, right? Because everybody has different, but it is unique.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a uniqueness to it. Again, I'm not trying to say it's worse, but it's unique. Like I'll just say, like for myself, there was definitely moments where I felt like I had a hard time trusting people, and I also, I was I didn't want to ruin like my dad's reputation, with my sin, and I also, whether this was true or not, this was the perception. I felt like, man, I can't just mess up like a normal person, so there's some pressures with that, but which I'm sure you probably feel similar. But okay, you've been sober for almost 3 years. Take us back to a little over 3 years ago.
Yeah,
how did you get in that spot? What was that like?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like it goes back way further than 3 years ago. My first 30 days in rehab was the first time since, I don't know, I was 12 and a half, 13 years old, that I didn't have some substance in my body for 30 days.
Wow.
And so, not that I was abusing meth at 13, it's just, I had found comfort in quote unquote numbing or whatever for a long time before I ended up getting clean and sober. But a lot of my struggles and stuff like that I ran from stem from my childhood, and just to be really direct, just like daddy issues, stuff like that. My parents pastored a church at the time that was probably most important for me to have a relationship with mom and dad. And hindsight's always 20/20. My parents did the right thing. I don't question that or like doubt that. But there are a lot of things growing up that I wish I had in terms of relationship that I just didn't, because they were planning church, man. Like they were doing awesome stuff. Sure. And so, yes, from the time I got high for the first time at 12 years old, going into my 6th grade year.
Wow.
Ken Oak Skate Park, dude, and that's what really started that whole, lifelong thing. It is wild to think that I have more years of my life I have been under the influence than years I have not.
Yeah.
But dude, 3 years ago was rock bottom.
Yeah.
For me. And, on the outside looking in, I would imagine, I would think we had everything, a lot of things that people would really, really want, The December 28th was the last time I had, a drink or anything in my body. But I went to rehab January 1st or 2nd.
Now, when I don't know what transcribed that night that you said you had your last drink, but did you know you were going to rehab?
No.
Okay, so I'm always curious how, if people are like, one last hurrah, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think there was one last hurrah in the sense of when I realized in my drunkenness where I was at, it was like, this is my one last hurrah. I had no intention of being alive the following day.
Wow.
But, the whole story of going to rehab truly is like God ordained. A couple weeks before me and Paige separated, as I was removed, I got not kicked out. I was removed from our house, probably a month or two before I stopped, and went to rehab. And probably 2 or 3 weeks before that, the director of Adult Teen Challenge came to our church, started bringing their guys there. And Adult Teen Challenge is the rehab center that I went to. They just had one here in Tri-Cities.
Yeah.
So they started coming to our church. And that guy got on stage and spoke to the church one weekend. And I was not attending at this time in my life. You know, if I did go, it was on very rare occasion. I was trying to work or do other things at that time. And my dad kept sending me this message like, hey, dude, you should watch this. You should watch this. And I did watch it. Finally, one day I watched it. And the dude's got a nutty story. Was a police officer. I don't know if he used before or after or whatever the case may be, but ended up taking stuff from the evidence locker for a long, long time, got hooked, got in a bad accident on shift. And I don't know all the details, you know, but had 2 kids, all this sort of stuff. So, but he got up and shared his testimony, you know, and I remember watching that thinking like that, you know, no one wants to go through all that, but I would love to have the end part that he has, you know.
The side. Yeah.
But in that, you know, I was doing at that point in time probably a ball of coke a day.
Okay, for somebody who like me who can't quantify that.
Yeah, it's just a lot of cocaine.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a lot.
Yeah. And were you okay when you were at that point? So if January, you know, beginning of January is when you went to rehab, is this what life looked like in that December, November, October?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like I was reliant on it at that point.
Really?
You know, like if I didn't have it, I would sleep for 13, 14, 15 hours.
Whoa.
And, you know, Paige would tell stories of trying to wake me up, and you just can't. You couldn't wake me up. And if I was awake, my eyes would be so bloodshot red because of how tired. Like I literally could not keep my eyes open.
Wow.
Unless I had that stuff.
Really? Wow.
And so, like, watching that, there is, like, this desire. I would love to be free from this stuff.
Yeah.
But there's this quote-unquote reality of there's no shot, you know. I know where I'm at. Like, there's no coming back from this type thing. And, but I watched that and, you know, nothing really transpired from it. But there was you know, after I got removed from our house, you know, me and Paige went to Mexico. And
well, can I just pause real quick?
Yeah.
You say you got removed from the house.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like assuming like, you know, your wife is at a point where she's like, get out.
Yeah.
But what do you mean you got removed? Like, is that what that was?
Yeah. If I backtrack a little bit, like we went to Mexico and I tried to get stuff in Mexico, and
this is just on a vacation.
Just on a vacation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Paige went to Mexico, and I was asleep, and work guys were blowing up my phone trying to get me to take an appointment while I was in Mexico, and so she went to go, you know, silence the phone, whatever. Like, my wife knew I was a closet drunk, you know, so she knew stuff was going on. And so she saw me reaching out, trying to get stuff in Mexico. And that's when, like, she found out the full extent of what I was actually doing.
Okay, because at this point, she just thought, oh, he likes to drink.
Yeah.
A little too, or a lot too much. Yeah.
Yep. So she didn't know anything about drugs or anything like that.
When was this before rehab? Do you remember?
Yes.
Like what month? Or
November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like right there.
Yeah.
So what? Yes. Okay. So.
Yeah.
What was that like between you and your wife after that? Like, did she confront you and you?
No.
Okay. So what happened? Like,
so that was like the second day of our 10-day vacation.
Not the end, you know, right at the beginning.
No, she found out, and like,
I'm laughing not as like, you know what I mean?
Just like, it is somewhat comical, but like, you know,
right when you get there.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. 2 or 3 days in. And Paige is a stud, dude. Like, she didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I remember her calling. Well, I don't remember. She tells me she calls her mom, you know, and like, hey, this is what's going on. And her mom was like, hey, you got to get out of there type stuff. And her whole thing was like, no, he'll, you know, go off the rails, like type deal. And so she pretended. She didn't say anything for the entire vacation. And it's not like I was a good time to be around at that point in time. And so, yeah, she basically just gutted it until we came back. But looking back now, we were driving. We flew into Seattle. I got us kicked off our flight home to Tri-Cities. And I was vaping on the plane.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah. And so
I was expecting something much more dramatic.
No. They had told me to stop. I stopped. Whatever. Regardless, I was vaping on the plane. They removed it.
And just so everybody knows, apparently they're doing something across the way. We'll try to get rid of it as much as possible, which we can. But if you hear a little something in the background, it's okay. We can cut that out. All right, go ahead.
But yeah, I got us kicked off the plane, and then so we had to drive home from Seattle. Okay. And we rented a car. This is probably 11 o'clock at night, 11, 12, midnight. And we're driving home, and Paige keeps having me pull over, and she's yakking on everywhere, and I just thought maybe she's sick or got, ate something wrong. And it was like all her nerves. Oh, wow. My God, we're coming back to reality. It's going to be around the kids. Like, it would cause her so much stress that she would we would pull over. She would just sit there and throw up. Wow. And normally on drives and stuff, Paige passes. She's right. And she stayed up that whole, we got home probably 3, 4 in the morning. She was wide awake. And that next day, getting back from Mexico, I hit up my buddy, went and got my stuff, and then came back, and I'm a totally different person. Which on the flight to Mexico, I was, I didn't bring anything, so I was literally like detoxing. It was tough. My nose was in so much pain in Mexico. Like, I had probably a pinky size hole through my septum just of where that stuff burnt. Yeah. A hole. And that all, like, the scabs came off in Mexico and stuff. So I was in a lot of pain in Mexico, trying to hide it, obviously. Yeah. And so I got home, got my stuff, and that was on a Saturday. And Sunday after church, Paige went to my mom and dad and basically told my family, hey, this is what's going on. And that Sunday evening, probably 5 or 6 o'clock, my dad came over to our house and just said, hey, we know what you're doing. Like, Paige told us she found out.
How did you react when that happened? Were you upset or defensive?
No.
Or was it kind of like, whatever, I don't care? I mean, what was your attitude?
I was like, whatever, I don't care. But I was very aware of, like, what I was doing. Sure. There was this sense of...
But at this point, did you think that they don't really know?
Yeah, no one knew. Okay. I know no one knew. Okay. And I knew once someone found out, the walls were coming down. Sure. It was... Yeah. This was not a... I'm taking Ambien to fall asleep when I shouldn't. Oh, no. Sure. It's like... Right. No, when it was like my dad told me in like this sense of like, okay, yeah, this is it. Yeah. And so I just got up, packed my stuff. Because I had never wanted or was willing to put like Paige in a weird spot, it was all self-inflicted. And I think I was very, very aware of that. And so I packed my stuff, went to a hotel, and, the one thing I was, quote unquote, frustrated or upset about was like, I would have loved for you to talk to me. But it does not surprise me that she didn't feel like she had the
That's how you felt at least at the time,
ability to, because I probably would have gaslit her into something, I don't know.
I get that, though. I mean, not that it's even right, but I could understand. Yeah. So was there ever, okay, so, she doesn't feel like she can kind of confront you. Was there a moment where you, like, there was, and I'm not looking for details or anything, but like a blow up or like the walls came down for her before you went to rehab, between you guys? Or did things kind of just stay at bay and you left? Or like, what was?
Not really. No, we officially separated. Okay. And like I couldn't go see the kids without someone rightfully so.
Yeah.
But it was, no, she like, Paige is awesome.
Yeah.
No, there was she never like, I would say that she communicated to me out of anger a lot of times.
Sure.
With how she felt and how I made her feel and what I was doing to our family and all that kind of stuff. But dude, in the middle of that stuff, you're so deranged. It's so like, my mind was so just selfish, It was like, it's all about me. You don't understand what I'm going through, like, it's not like I'm choosing to do this, type almost like thought process. Obviously that I was, but it's all, everything I was doing was all focused around me and alleviating me and getting away from being me. And, you people get so lost in that, that's like, one of the things that they tell you in rehab is like the number one love is a mother for her child. It's like the strongest love. Nothing can break that. But people get in these situations where they will trade their loves, their kids for it's like, dude, it does something to a brain. Which does not alleviate that it was my choices. Like, I understand it was me, but that, at that point in time, it was so deranged I had to, all this stuff going on where I understand it might ruin us, but it's like, I got to figure, I'm dealing with me, which is more important type stuff.
So, and feel free to go, hey, you're skipping over something or whatever, but tell me what rehab was like. I mean, not just in terms of like what you did, but I mean, I'm not trying to, these are apples and oranges comparison. So I'm not trying to say, hey, this is a similar situation, because it's just realistically not. But there's been times in like my wife and I's relationship, just from different stuff, where it wasn't like, oh my gosh, everything's coming crumbling down. But there was one or two moments where I thought, I don't know how this ends. And it kind of scares you, and and there's all these thoughts, and then I found, at least for me, I went to counseling a few years ago, and I saw this guy for about 2.5 years, almost 2.5 years. Probably would have kept seeing him for a little bit longer, but he got a job, kind of a dream job of doing research for like Oregon State University or something like that, and as clinical, something. But there would be so many times where I would sit down and tell him. I remember telling him this. I said to him, I kind of have this thing where if I don't want to tell you something, I feel like I just need to tell you, and it's maybe totally unrelated, but like it's like me kind of going, you don't want to say it? Okay, say it. And I remember sitting down with him. I said, there's just some stuff I want to tell you. And it was so uncomfortable to have a man sit there as I am saying all the dark thoughts I've had and all just everything, right? That in that moment that I feel like I had to say. And for him to go, that must have been hard. I was like, I said, but don't you think like I need, like, I messed up and like I should, and he was like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, everybody is. And he never, anyways, I'm rambling, but the thing I realized in there was my tendency is when I get to the dark place in my mind, like, and I just mean like when everybody goes down that dark little trail of, you let your thoughts wander and you're not thinking, realistically per se, is I can turn myself into a victim and go, my problems are original. And you may suffer, but you haven't suffered, like me. That's where I go mentally. And then what ends up happening is I grow resentful, like towards my wife or whatever. And even though I know I wasn't perfect, She doesn't see my what led to me lashing out or whatever. For you, it was just so weird to be confronted then with somebody who I felt like genuinely cared about me, and at the same time did not just go, "Oh yeah, you know, you are a victim, Austin, and you know, you can't control that. That's your identity." Because that's not what I want. I don't want someone to.
Yeah.
But it was so weird to like have somebody be so stinking gracious and to be like, "I'm going to challenge you."
Yeah.
What for you was like the hardest thing? You get in rehab. What was the biggest thing that unlocked for you of like, man, this is maybe where it started in my head, or this is the lie I believed? I mean, was there something that was kind of like a aha moment for you? I don't know.
Yeah. I'd say yes and no. I'd say a lot of the, inside work that I've been doing over the last couple of years is to try to figure out like those timelines. Sure. Of, what caused me to do this type deal. Interesting thought is like a lot of people drink, a lot of people get drunk, a lot of people experiment with stuff. There was just something in my brain that clicked that doesn't click in a lot of other people's brains, where I just went, I don't ever want to not feel this way. Wow. And there are a lot of people who will go, okay, I'll put that away till 4th of July, and they'll pull it out, have fun again. Like they have the ability to not, Yeah. And there was just something in me that was, hey, this will never leave me, like I don't want it to type deal. But I think just like if we're to follow timeline stuff, I went to rehab, so December 28th and then the 2nd. So there's like a 4-day time frame. On the 28th, I was hanging out with a buddy of mine who's since passed away. And it was like the last working day of the calendar at our job. And so I decided to take all my guys out to lunch. And so we were going to go have a long lunch, hey, good job this year. And on the way to lunch, my buddy Ruby, who I was with, got a phone call from his wife, and she told him that she was pregnant with their second kid. And, he was ecstatic. And at this point in time, me and Paige were separated. I'm supposed to be working on myself, not doing the things that I'm doing. Yeah. And so he was, super excited, really, really excited. And so it was like, dude, we're going to celebrate. And so we went to lunch and celebrated. And, I called my boss at the time and just said, hey, we're not coming back. We're going to celebrate today. Oh, you don't mean not ever. You just mean we're today. Coming. Yeah. Okay. It's the last working day of the year. Like we're taking the rest of the day off. Sure. And his response to me was, no, you can't do that, And I had already I'm intoxicated at this point. You weren't even asking, right? Exactly. It was a courtesy call. Yeah. I'm just letting you know. Yeah. Sure. Okay. And so that turned into this whole big thing. And so then we continued to stay out of spite type deal. Mm-hmm. And a few hours later, I go back into work, and it's at that point he had texted me, come Monday, dude, big changes are happening. Like you're going downhill. Your team doesn't see you as a leader anymore, blah, 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 which all that stuff was probably true, but in my head it was, dude, this kid's going to fire me Monday. This dude's younger than I am. Sure. And I had all these reasons to justify yada, yada, yada. Yeah. And so as kind of like the middle finger, it was like, screw it, dude. And so I went back. I sent my team home. I went back, but then I decided I took off. It was just kind of like, whatever, I'm done then. And went over to that guy's house, and just the night ensued type deal. And I just think it was the compiling of where I was. You went over to his house. I mean, you don't got to get into anything you don't want to, but to like confront him. I mean, like I'm not. No, I went to Ruby's house. I'm sorry. House. I thought you were saying not my boss. Okay, I was like, wow, no. What happened there? No. Okay. As soon as I left work, I hit up Ruby and I said, dude, what are you doing? He said, nothing. Come over. I said, all right, dope. So I went picked up a bottle. Was really into bourbon at that time, and we hung out, invited other people over, and again, I don't know if it was just the point at where I was at in life where it, genuinely everything around me was crumbling. I'm staying at this point in time, I was staying with Bree and Steven, which was just like embarrassing type thing. It's like, I don't want to, they're trying to like be gracious and like, hey, do you have everything you need type stuff? And my mentality is like, dude, I don't need this to begin with. It's like,
yeah.
So it's just everything around me was falling apart. And I just think it was, that point in life where I was at, it was like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
So, I drank that whole bottle, and I hadn't slept in probably 20, 26, 27 hours at this point. And I drank that whole bottle, and then, all these people were at Ruby's house, and there was a bag of mushrooms, and I just grabbed as many as I could fit in my hand and ate a bunch of mushrooms, with no like, wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself. It was just like whatever type deal. And I remember Ruby tells me, hey, you owe me $60 now. And that sent me. It's like, bro. Like $60, dude.
Right.
And he probably didn't even say it maliciously. I was like, dude, hey, you owe me $60, bro.
Right.
But dude, that just sent me. And so I walked over to the counter and grabbed a 6-pack and literally just walked to my car and just drove. And I do not remember getting on the highway. Wow. And the next thing I remember is I wake up in my house that I'm not supposed to be in, and Paige and the girls weren't there.
Oh my gosh.
And I am so gone. I cannot walk. I can't talk. I can't.
What do you mean you can't talk? Like you're just...
I couldn't formulate sentences.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I couldn't do I just wake up and it's almost like I got drool coming from my mouth. I mean, It was just, I had never been this like loaded, messed up before.
Sure.
And I've done my fair share.
Yeah.
And I crawled to the bathroom and I pulled myself up on the sink and I'm trying to look at myself and I cannot, I was such a sad excuse of a human at that point, dude. I was so fat and like just everything had gone.
Yeah.
Couldn't pull myself up and then I remember, I knew that Paige was taking the girls to gymnastics, something like that, and they were going to come home. And at that point in time, it just hits me like, dude, if Paige catches me like this, it's like, I'm done. I'll never see him again, and the silly part is at that point in time, like I wasn't going to see him to begin with. We were already separated. There was no question in my mind of like, are we getting back together at some point? It was like.
You for sure thought it was over.
Yeah.
Wow. But you just didn't want to add fuel to the fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
let's not make this worse.
Yeah. And not only that, I am aware that I'm like, dude, I can't move. I can't talk. So it's like my 4-year-old's going to walk in.
So you're still, do you just feel still intoxicated?
Yeah.
And yeah, okay.
And so the thought goes through my head, like I can either be here and I can deal with this, or I can not be here.
Yeah.
And I chose the latter. And so I am crawling. I am dragging my useless body across our hardwood floor trying to get to my closet.
Wow.
Where I keep, my firearms and stuff like that. And I am yelling. I'm using every ounce of strength in this sad excuse of a body at that point in time. And Paige walks in. And
as you were going to,
yeah,
wow.
And I hear her call my name, and I didn't answer. And I hear her call my name, And the first words out of my mouth, I said, Paige. And she said, yeah. And I just said, I need help. And that was like I don't know what it was. It was like the accepting moment of like, I need help.
Wow.
Like I don't want to be here. I need help, And she helped me to our couch, and I just sat there and excessively cried. And, at this point in time, I don't necessarily think this was anything new for Paige. Like Paige recorded this, I would imagine, so that if I ever tried to like get kids or something, she could show like, dude, this is the kind of dude that he was,
Yeah.
And I've watched it one time on my 2-year anniversary, and dude, you can hear my girl screaming in the background. Yeah.
Why did you watch it?
As just like a sense of like where I've come from. I think
to remind yourself.
I have this really strong passion of like, I don't ever want to forget. I don't want to take stuff for granted no more.
Right.
And so, like I just wanted to see what I was like type deal. And, man, you can hear my girls in the background, both of them screaming, crying, and my wife trying to figure out, what do I do type deal. And so she calls Steven. Steven comes to pick me up. And even that ride was a trip, dude. In the middle of the highway, I tried jumping out of the truck, but I get up to, he takes me up to my dad's house, and my dad at that time had a camper trailer in his shop. Mm-hmm. And so that's basically where they put me for this stuff to wear off. And, that in it of itself was like the most demonic night I think I'd ever been a part of, or just been alive through.
The night that you slept in that camper? How come?
I was just tripping so bad. And, just so intoxicated. And
and this is like 36 hours later, right?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah.
I still hadn't slept at this point.
I forgot you took all those mushrooms as well. And wow.
Just like 35 hours. I probably hadn't slept at this point.
Jeez.
And so my dad sat in that camper with me for probably 5 or 6 hours until I passed out. And for that 5 or 6 hours, I was begging God to kill me.
Really?
Begging. Sobbing, I just wanted it to end. Like, I wanted the noise in my mind to go away. I wanted peace, I wanted to quiet everything. And,
is that, sorry to interrupt, but is that, and maybe you would say, no, that's not why. And so correct me if this is wrong, but was part of the thought like, there's that verse in scripture, it says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. Was it kind of like, man, did you just feel like there's no redemption? Like, I'm not going to get clean. I can't run away from this. Wife feels this way. She has the girls. Or was it something else when you're like, no. I just want to be done? Was it that?
There was this sense of like everything that I worked really hard to get, I pissed away type deal. And, at that point in time, this is probably, again, I've struggled with this stuff my whole life. It stopped, started, stopped, started, stopped, started. Like I've quit things 1,000 times.
Sure.
And it has been this struggle. It's like this mental, physical, spiritual toll. Yeah. And every time you do it again, you just lessen your, like how you think about yourself drops just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit.
Yeah.
Until at that point, there was like, dude, there is no gate. I've tried this for 28 years now, like 28, 27 years of my life. I've tried to figure this out and be a better person. And every time this is where I wind up.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this sense of like, I'm not trying to feel bad for myself. It's just, I'm not coming out of this, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember, I mean, just what you're talking about, how, I've quit things 1,000 times, but then every time you go back to it, it changes the way you kind of view yourself. I remember somebody asking Jordan Peterson one time, why is it wrong to lie? If the lie doesn't harm somebody else, right? Hey, what'd you get for lunch? I got pizza. You tell it to your wife, and you didn't eat lunch. Yeah, but I ate pizza. The guy goes, why is that wrong? He says, I hope you take this seriously, because this is what happens. He goes, the more you lie to other people, he goes, the harder it's going to be in your own mind to distinguish between the truth and lies in your own head. He goes, the truth is, when you're a kid, you know exactly when you lie and you feel guilty. He goes, and then the guilt goes away. He goes, but here's what's even worse. He goes, then reality starts to go away, and everything you say, you just start to believe. And I remember hearing that going, it's kind of terrifying, but there's a truth there where it's like
wildly true.
You start to not know what you believe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Especially in that sense of like, typically people that are in addiction like that. Again, it's not like you're unaware of where you're at. It's you lay your head on the pillow at night, you're a fraud.
Yeah.
You're lying. You're doing things you shouldn't do. It's just, I can't admit that to the rest of the world, because then everything goes to hell in a handbasket. I'm trying to keep all this stuff together.
Yeah.
It's like, so now I'm living as if this is actually my saving grace. I know it's not. I know what this is doing. And that's the constant.
Yeah.
It's like, but that is also what drives people deeper into it. That's the stuff that turns all this off.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well then, as soon as I do that, I don't feel that way no more.
I don't think I know, actually, it's not, I think, I know I haven't. And I won't necessarily talk about it today, but maybe not ever, I don't know. But I remember being, I think 10 months, like it was, I remember it being almost a year in counseling. And I started off going once a week. And then after a certain amount of time, it was every other week. And then it was every 3 to 4 weeks. And then,
I love counseling, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've done an episode on it where I've talked about how it could be the best or worst thing that's ever happened to you, because it's like a doctor. You get a good doctor and it can be life-saving, and you get a bad doctor. Everything. You get a bad doctor and you just trust what they say, and you're like, yeah, you should divorce. Yeah. And what are you doing going to that church who believes that, and then you go, oh, they're a counselor. But I agree. Like good counseling is incredible.
Quick shout out, Jake and Jen saved our marriage, dude. They're awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. But, anyways, yeah. He said, Austin, you have an eating disorder. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, you have a extremely tight routine. He goes, and you were filled with shame over it. And we had talked extensively about it. Mm-hmm. And one thing I found out was, because I this, like I used to, smoke cigarettes and all that. And when I was a lot younger man, I felt like I had to do something to numb or just something to just get my mind off of it. And alcohol's a lot harder to hide. Mm-hmm. And I had never really done any like serious drugs. Like, in high school, I never partied. I'm not saying I was perfect. I'm just saying that wasn't my vice, right? Yeah. And anyways, it was kind of like weird to be told that. And I'm not making this up. If I went into details, people would be like, oh my God, wow.
We've talked about it before.
But it was also kind of liberating just to go, okay. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, we have a thing at our church called Way Forward. It's similar to like a Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And a guy in our church runs it. I think he's 13 or 14 years sober now. Named Scotty, and I love him to death. I hug him every Sunday. I'm always telling people to go. Not because it's like, oh, you're messed up, and because I'm like, dude, every single person needs support and encouragement. I just preached on this a few weeks ago at our church, but it was like, most people know what they have to do.
Yeah.
That's not the problem.
Yeah.
Most like when I think about men, I'm like, I've usually, sometimes I need outside counsel for sure. But a lot of times I know what I need to do to be a better husband or father. I just don't have the courage to do it. So you need people. That's what encouragement is. It's putting courage in somebody else. And and I hope that our church, like the church I attend, New Vintage, like over time, and I think it does. I'm just saying I hope it continues in this past where it's like people don't look down on people with addiction, because the truth is everybody has addictions, and some of them are just with substance, and some of them are with food, and some of them are with stuff on the internet, and some of them, all kinds of stuff. So, okay. Man, I almost started tearing up that scene you were talking about. Just,
that was rough.
Well, because I'm envisioning it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so you're in the RV with your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens between there and rehab?
So I wake up that next morning, and in my mind, like, everything's changed at that point, because not only has like Paige has seen me like that 1,000 times over. I don't think Paige has ever seen me at the spot of like quitting, like that, but she's seen me like that 1,000 times. My parents never have, and my brother, I don't think's ever seen me like that.
Yeah.
And so there was this spot, or this thought, that this really does change everything. It's like people see me now where I'm really at. There is no, I'm good, I just messed up type stuff. That's not mess up type stuff.
Sure.
And so, at that point, my dad's telling me like, dude, you're staying here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just being agreeable, like, yeah, sure. Sounds good. No intention of staying or anything like that. But we had this was a Saturday. That was all, Friday into Saturday. Saturday night, my family has an intervention out in my dad's shop. And so it's my mom, my dad, my brothers. And, it's so, like, I love them, and it's awesome they did that, but it's just funny thinking of where I was that, like, guys, we're so far past this, But it just describes where I was at in the sense of, for example, I remember my older brother asking me, like, dude, what about your wife? Like, what about your kids? And my genuine response was like, what about them? Like, what wife, bro? What kids? Like, they're gone. Like, that's long gone, dude. That's months ago gone. There is, And I was just in the spot of like, dude, I literally have nothing. I have no job. I have no family. You guys now all know that I am a lost cause type deal. And at the end of all that, we go inside. My mom asked me, like, would you go get help? And I was like, yes. My desire is not, I don't want to be like this. This is not, I don't see my life and go, dude, this is sick. I think this is awful. I would love freedom for this stuff. Now, I was not agreeing that I'm going to go get help. It's just like, yeah, I would, type deal.
Yeah.
And
if I could flip a switch.
Yeah.
Sure.
If I would, yeah, exactly. And so, Sunday comes, and it was, this is the end of December. And so we didn't have church on Sunday. We pre-recorded it because they knew there was a storm coming. So we watched church at my dad's house. And then my dad said, I have a meeting at the church and you're coming. I said, okay. And my dad drives me to the church, and he sits me with this adult and teen talents dude that I watched this guy's service.
Right.
And, you know, in the sales world, we have this thing called a rack. It's a resolve ace close.
Okay.
Where there's an objection. You resolve the objection. You have an ace, which is new information, and then you go to close. You ask for, you redo it.
Yeah.
Objection comes, you resolve it. New information, close. It's just like,
yeah.
And this guy racked me like 9 or 10 times in there on going to rehab and getting help. And
so like any objection or excuse, he just was like,
totally. Hey, I totally understand. You know,
I've heard this before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have this thing called feel, felt, found. Hey, I totally, you know, I feel where you're coming from. Matter of fact, a lot of people have felt that way. Ultimately, what they found is going and getting help's been the best thing. You know, that's
was that conversation frustrating for you? Were you kind of annoyed, or was it like, oh, this is really nice? Like, what was?
No, yes, I was I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But also, I was not going to say I didn't want help in front of my dad. It just wasn't going to happen. You know, it was like, going through my head was like, dude, I've already put these dudes through. If we want to have a one-on-one, I'll tell you how I really feel, but I'm not going to say no in front of my dad. And I don't know if he knew that. I don't know if my dad knew that. It's just how it panned out.
Yeah.
And so at the end of this hour-long conversation, you know, the question is, will you go get help? And it was like, yes. And so that dude calls a guy and says, hey, do you have a spot? And the guy says, yeah. And he says, cool, we'll have him there tomorrow. I'm there at 2 or 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Wow.
And it was like, holy crap.
What did I just say yes to?
Yeah. And in my head, going to get help, like it was like a 30-day, 3 weeks or 30 days or whatever the case. Yeah. This was a 90-day program.
That's right. I forgot.
And so this was like so different than what I wanted or thought I would be doing. And it was like, it was so needed. Obviously now hindsight 2020, but it was all very, very fast. Like Paige didn't know. My dad didn't confront Paige about this. My dad, this was not like a planned ordeal with my family. Sure. It was like
just a quick decision.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
what was the first day or two or whatever like at rehab? I mean,
it was hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of detoxing going on. At this point.
I'm just curious, do they do any, and I don't even, this is such an ignorant question. Do they have any ways of helping somebody with that? Or is it just like, hey, you're here, you got to tough it out. Yeah. We love you.
Yeah. The thing with adult and teen challenge is there is no addictive medication. You can't be on meds. You can't be on meds. There's just, they're not going to give you stuff.
Right.
Type deal. It's the whole idea is.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it's like, oh man, I don't know, like you're super dehydrated. We have, so we try to get people. I don't know if there's
water.
I just didn't know.
No, which is really, really tough, and I'm not an expert in this field.
Yeah.
But to see guys come in off fentanyl or meth and watch them detox is gut wrenching.
Yeah.
It's like I've never seen a grown man cry like a 6-year-old before, type deal. And so I don't know what that process is. I didn't detox from that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, coming off alcohol or blow is it's a lot of night sweats. It's a lot of pain in the nasal area type deal. But like, that's about all it was.
How long for you until you started feeling, maybe not 100%, but you were like, okay, I'm starting to like feel clear-headed. I'm starting to feel like, better. And like, how long did that take for you?
I'd say probably like a month.
Okay.
And it's not that I didn't feel clear-headed. It's just, I didn't want to be there. Detoxing for me was probably only 4 or 5 days of like not really sleeping great. And at that point in time, when I would drink and stuff would be, I'd go a whole day, I'd be normal, but I'd come home, girls would go to bed, and that's where I would start. And that's I would fall asleep to, is I would drink till I blacked out, wake up, feel great, go do it again. And so like the elasticity in my brain was all messed up, meaning come 9 or 10 o'clock at night, it was not sleep time. I couldn't sleep because that was when I started doing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so changing my sleep pattern was probably the most difficult thing.
Because what time would you have normally gone to bed? Like
3, 4 in the morning.
And what time would you wake up?
7 or 8.
And you felt great usually?
Fantastic.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you hear all these stories of people getting like hangovers and, oh my God, I just feel so off. No, I felt great.
Yeah. I mean,
my therapist explained it to me really, really well, where she's like, hey, some people are gasoline powered. There are a few people who are diesel. And then there's a very rare breed where you can just shove anything in that machine and it works. And she's like, and that's you. You know, it's like you could put anything in there and you just cranked.
And that probably doesn't help either because
that makes you feel awesome.
Right. Yeah.
And so it took a while, you know.
Was there ever a moment where like you during rehab where you were like you started to feel like a sense of hope again and in terms of like, man, I want my wife back, or like when was that?
No to that. So I always wanted
but just
Paige in that back. So my first, I'd say probably 2 or 3 weeks in there, I wouldn't say it was rebellious, but it was very going through the motions. I did not want to be there whatsoever. I only got a phone call once a week.
That's what they allow.
Yeah, you had no outside connection, you know.
So you don't got a phone. You don't
even have a radio, dog.
Right.
You don't have nothing. And so I would call Paige, or Paige would call, and we would chat, and I would just complain. And, you know, talking to her about it now, it's like, yeah, what an idiot, you know. Just like, dude, you a second chance, and you're just in there, you're just complaining like he doesn't want to be there, you know, type stuff. And I didn't, and I was very open with that. Like, if there was a way to get me out of here, I'm taking it, type deal. And this is a open door policy,
so you could walk out if you wanted.
You just can't come back.
Were you scared to walk out though?
Like, I'm not a quitter. Is the hard thing. Is like there is this sense of, if I can rightfully get out of here,
sure, then
I'm taking it.
Honorable discharge.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
but I'm not a quitter, you know.
Okay.
And so there was all this stuff that I was trying to do to get me either removed or whatever the case may be. And they have chapels every Saturday night. Typically some guy comes in, or woman, and they talk to the group. And I don't even remember the guy's name, you know. And to be honest with you, I don't even remember what he talked about. All I remember is at the end of that message, I was moved to the realization that, like, I have real issues, and I am in here not because of other people's issues. I'm in here because of my issues. And the realization that, like, Adult and Teen Challenge, what it's designed to do is to eliminate all of your choices. Like, you have the time you wake up, the things you do during the day, the food that you eat, the people you talk to, what you watch on the TV, it's all decided for you. And that day or night was the understanding of, like, why this place has some sort of success rate, is because I got here based off of my choices.
Yeah.
And so I need someone to teach me how to make decisions, type deal. And it was like, okay, if that's the case, then I'll stick it out and I'll actually try to get better. And the overwhelming, like, decision was, if the worst thing that comes out of this is that Paige is proud that I am the girl's dad, then it's like, yeah, I would love to do that. You know, I know we're not getting back together. You know, again, I am very aware that, like, no one in their right mind sticks around through that. But it was just, if at the end of the day, if Paige, when people talk about the girl's dad, and you are proud that I am their dad, it's like, yeah, I'll go to bat for that. And so that was probably 2.5, 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
And that was like the turning point for me in rehab, where I stopped counting days. And it was just, hey, this is what I do now. I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to work on it, you know, probably understand. I probably won't, quote unquote, figure it out, but I'll make it. It'll become manageable.
What was your wife and you, what was your guys' relationship status? Like, what, in terms of, what was that like when you got out of rehab? What was it? Did you guys talk about?
Yeah. So we, when I got out of rehab, my dad rented this place up in Oregon, and I had the whole family, my wife and girls, Steven, his wife, their kids, everyone, Evan, his wife, girls. We all hung out. And
this is right after rehab?
This is the day I got out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But probably 2.5 months in, I'd say probably 70 or 80 days around there. During that process, the conversations with Paige is just, hey, this is what's going on. This is the stuff that I'm learning. You know, this is what I'm working on.
This is 70 to 80 days into rehab?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So prior to that, you know,
okay.
So day 25 on.
Yeah.
That was kind of our relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it was, you know, like, yeah, I miss you. You know, I love you type stuff. But it's not, you know, there's no romanticizing any of it type stuff.
Right.
And they were able to come see me on Sundays for 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And so Paige every other Sunday would drive down with the girls, and I get to hang out with the girls for 3 or 4 days. But it was just, it was just more of like a supportive type thing.
Yeah.
But around day 70 or 75, you know, me and Paige were writing each other every day.
Oh, okay.
So we'd mail stuff, and like, dude, that was the essence of my existence. And there was getting mail, and stuff like that.
I can imagine too, if you don't have any form of communication,
nothing.
how exciting that would be.
Yeah,
you know,
awesome.
the thrill of,
getting mail. So we get letters, and we just, we just write
Send
back.
a raven.
Yeah, writing back and forth, and right around 2.5 month mark, Paige in one of the letters tells me she wants to try again.
Wow.
You know, like she can see, you know, the growth and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And it was like, you know, the greatest book I've ever read type thing, you know. So grateful. And still to this day, like, it's mind blowing. It almost makes me, you know, as a joke, it's like, what a nut job, you know, that she is. And so that was like, there's hope there, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel type stuff at that point. And so, when I got out of rehab, you know, I went straight back after that week long or whatever, hanging out with family, went back to the house, and, you know, it's not all rainbows and sunshines at all. You know, there was probably a week or two in where it was like, is this actually going to work type thing? And the answer was, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
It was a very mutual thing. Just because, dude, there's so many years. Like, my girls didn't know me sober.
Yeah.
Paige didn't know me sober, you know.
It's starting from the ground up, right? Yeah.
You're literally starting over.
Yeah. What was the biggest thing that, like, because obviously you guys, okay, so like, I think this was alluded to earlier, but like, you know, you guys have a great marriage now.
Yeah.
And you know, and like, legitimately, like, praise God for that. And, you know, like, you're an involved father, you know, an intentional father. And I'm assuming, you know, life looks a lot different now than it did, you know, obviously. Yeah. What was there a big hurdle, like one thing that was, you know, for you guys to repair your marriage, or was it like, no, it was just a lot of little things that took time, or was there one big obstacle that, like, you guys had to overcome, or what? how did you guys get to that spot where you are now?
Yeah, the obstacle was me. I would say it was a lot of little things that had really deep holds on us. And we did marriage counseling with Jake and Jen for, 2.5 years. And then I did stuff with Jake for a year, There's a lot of stuff that, because for there to be a successful addict in a relationship, there's codependency, And so like there's a lot of things on both ends where, it's not saying Pedro's in the wrong by any means, but there's just a lot of deep-rooted stuff that we had to figure out and work through. And but it all stemmed from me, And so the biggest thing that for not just myself, but for people in these situations that comes out, life's completely different. It's like you are literally dying to your flesh every day. You are retraining how I thought and how I continue to think and the words that I speak and what I listen to. And it's like, it is a total transformation of who I am. I got out and cut everyone that I hung out with, and like everything. The last thing I ever wanted to do is go back to that spot again. And so, but it takes a long, long time. And it's not just like, oh, my actions are different. You have to rebuild trust. Yeah. With the amount of lies I told that girl. Yeah. And like, betrayal, all this stuff. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm going out. Yeah. It's like, no, you're not. It's like, and it's like, it's also learning on this side of the chair to be accepting of like, she is deserving to feel whatever way she feels. If she wants to be angry today and distant because something came up and it reminded her of what I did, it's not like I can be like, yo, that's unfair. It's like, no, mother effer, what's unfair is what you did the last 7 years. It's like, yeah, you have every right to feel that way. And it doesn't matter, even 2.5, 3 years later, there's stuff that comes up and she says that stuff. And my knee-jerk response is like, how much time do you need, dog? Which is so unfair. Yeah. It's like, if it takes a lifetime, she deserves it. Yeah. It's like, my job is to wake up every day proving to her that I'd do anything for you. Yeah.
How did, like in this conversation, I'm just noticing you take responsibility, and even the stuff you were just saying now, it's like, hey, I want to say blank, but I have to have a reality check and go, okay, but I caused, and I think that's, and I'm not, I'm being sincere. I think that's noble, but like at the same time, you've done something that like is really hard. Like I'm listening to it and I'm trying to envision like in a sense, and I can't because I'm not you, but like being at that spot where I'm like, okay, I think my marriage is done. I don't know if I'm going to see my kids, detoxing, being a few hours away and just having to freaking start at rock bottom and like just, that sounds like a hard mountain to climb. So I know you're not saying any of this for a kudos or anything like that. I know you're not. Then you're not that kind of guy. But I really think that you're probably more of an inspiration to more people than you'll ever realize because. You took yourself to hell, but you also, obviously by the grace of God and support of people and all those things, I'm not saying this is all on your own merit, but you climbed out of it, and I know the journey's never over. I'm not saying you've arrived. TJ, you're done.
What a bummer.
Yeah, write a book and retire. No, but I'm just saying like, man, like that's a long journey I can imagine from just what you're telling me. And so, And I'm glad that you did, yeah. because I just think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think one of the things where people do screw up coming out of this stuff, or why it takes longer, is the inability to take responsibility. You know, I think a lot of times it's funny, you hear on the addict side, you know, it's like, yeah, I did the things that I was doing, but, you know, I had all of this, you know, this changed the way my brain functions and all this stuff. You know, there's almost like this, which is probably justified scientifically, type deal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that nobody force no bottle down my throat.
Well, and two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
You could be enslaved to something in the 100%. Sense of, there's an addiction, neural pathways have been changed, you know, all those things. But that started
with
me,
you,
or not you, but just anybody. Yeah.
It started with me though.
Yeah.
And I also think too, you know, the whole codependency side of things, like I've grown up in the church, you know, my whole life type deal. And, you know, I've never witnessed a more clear love of our Father than what Paige did for me.
Yeah.
You know, there's zero reason in mankind why someone put through that. And, you know, it's like, dude, I'm not laying out all of our dirty laundry here on a podcast. It's like there's 1,000 times deeper things that I did, said, that has scarred that, or should have scarred that woman for life type stuff, you know? And it's like, for her to come out of that and with this sense of like, hey, I forgive you.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's not normal, you know? And, you know, part of like my struggles growing up is I've always struggled with Christianity, the sense of like, I understand that he died for our sins, but you don't know me though. You don't know my sins, right? And it's like, there's always this sense of, but I'm me. So, you know, this can't be, he sounds like a good dude, but like, you don't know me.
Yeah.
And she knew me.
Yeah.
And she still, you know, stuck around. And so there was this sense of like, dude, encouragement, hope.
Yeah.
That's not human. You know, it was like, wow, it's really had a big impact on me.
There's, I don't know if I have this saved or not, but are you familiar with Timothy Keller? Have you heard? Okay. He passed away, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. He was a pastor in New York City. And on certain things, like on certain subjects, I really love his insights and thoughts. But he has a book on marriage. My wife and I did this thing at our church. It's like a 16-week program, and every week is a different thing, and you do homework. And at first, we were both kind of like, why are we doing this? You know, and my wife's like, dude, this is 16 weeks. And then by the end, we were like, praise God we did this. This was really worth it. But there's a quote in his book. Not finding, but I could tell you essentially how it goes. It goes something like this, you know, to be known and not love is our greatest fear. To be loved and not known is superficial, but to be fully known and fully loved, that's what it's like to be in relationship with God. And in that week in the marriage group, you know, they talk about brokenness and things from the past, and there was stuff my wife and I in that very week, and I remember it like it was yesterday, that we had just been honest about, that we had, not that we had like totally lied about, but just, you know, hey, let me say something maybe I haven't shared before, or something about my past or whatever. And I remember like us just going, we're going to fully know each other and love each other, no matter how hard that might be. But it's true. Like that is the lure of social media, though, is to not be known, but to be quote unquote loved. Yeah. And that's why, that's why somebody with an audience doesn't mean they should have authority in your life.
Right.
It's like the guy's 100,000 or 1 million or 5 million. Who cares?
Yeah.
Not to say that people with big followings don't have something to say. They might, but yeah. But that is the lure of social media, or just relationships. It's concealing stuff.
Yeah.
I remember one of the questions my counselor asked me we were talking about something else, and I remember him asking me, do any of your friends know what you just said? And I said, no. He goes, what about so-and-so? You seem pretty comfortable around him. I said, and he says, why have you not told him? I said, he might understand from a distance, but like, which of my friends is going to say what I just said? Mm-hmm. And he goes, he'd be shocked. And I remember going, no, I don't think I will be shocked. He goes, okay, well, let's just say you're right. He goes, what do you think his response to you is going to be? Envision it right now. And I was like, well, I mean, he'll probably be like accepting or whatever, but like, and he goes, what are you scared of? And he just kept pressing me. And I was like, yeah, why doesn't anybody know this? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
And I think one of this is just for me, but I think one of the ways just to kill something, and not that this eradicates it, and this is how, but one of the ways to kind of slow or stop something in your life is just to confess it out loud.
Yeah.
I used to be scared to do that.
Yeah.
In fact, even with my anxiety, I felt like if I said it out loud, it became even more real.
Yeah.
And it actually made it worse.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I took from rehab is they teach you that all addiction is rooted in feeling.
Rooted in feeling?
Feeling.
Okay, explain it.
Anything that we do, think about the time that you wake up, the coffee you drink in the morning, the job you work, the things you read, you scroll, food you eat, everything that you do. Like you said earlier. Like,
it's connected to a feeling.
Yeah. Everyone's addicted to something, but it's all rooted in feeling. It's how it makes you feel. And there are good things to be addicted to, and there are not good things to be addicted to, But all addiction is rooted in feeling. And to break that makes you have to do something that doesn't feel good. And people don't, why would I do that? It doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's valid.
Yeah.
And so that, that was a big realization for me, is my whole life, everything I'm doing is rooted in how it makes me feel. I don't want to feel this way, so I do this. Well, I don't want to feel that. And so why don't people know you? Because it doesn't make me feel good. Knowing that somebody knows me.
Yeah.
Like, if it don't make me feel good, why would it make them feel good?
Right.
Well, I'm just going around making people not feel good. It's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just keep, and that's addiction. Everything's rooted in feeling, how it makes you feel. It was literally like, it sounds so funny that being 27 years old, a light bulb goes off like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to feel good all the time. It's like, some things in life don't feel good,
Right.
But it's like,
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Going to the gym every morning doesn't always feel good.
Right.
And typically you feel good when you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. Got all those endorphins. Yeah.
But going doesn't always feel good.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the times, everyone's heard the saying that, like, normally the right thing in life is the hard thing.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make me feel good.
Right.
And so people will struggle their whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't want to do things that don't make me feel good. Well,
right.
You're going to struggle your whole life, man.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah. That is the, like this, is commonly said, but, we have three enemies. It's, the world, it's systems, it's values, it's practices. We got the devil, we have spiritual forces against us. And then we got the flesh, which is, people have asked me, what does the Bible mean by flesh? And, in Greek, it's sarx. And, obviously, when the apostles use it or whatever, they're not talking about your skin and bones,
right.
It's a theological term. But, in the book of Ephesians where it talks about, take off the old man, put on the new, I go, imagine you apart from the grace of God, So the grace of God's lifted off of you. And apart from the work of the Spirit in your life, so just let you in that state run rampant. I said, that's the flesh. And so you're dead to him, but man, you got to pick up a cross and go, I'm nailing who I was to this puppy every day. And I'm actually recording some episodes on this later this week because I've been preparing for and studying because we're about to do a series on spiritual warfare in the month of October, and I'm going to do some podcasts on different stuff on demonic possession and maybe what some of the church fathers thought about some of these different things. And and so I believe that there's a real battle out there and all that stuff. But with that being said, I don't even need a devil to ruin my life. I mean, that doesn't help, but
I do a good enough job.
Without Christ and without people in my life, I could be pretty good at self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, dude. It is wild.
But thank God that's not the story.
Yeah.
We have the Spirit of God, and we are made new, and we don't have to choose death and sin and all that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. If we were to rewind 3.5 years ago, and we were sitting at this table, and I said, hey, what does success, not maybe you would answer that in terms of finances or a job, but just in general, what do you think you would have said 3.5 years ago versus today? Like, what do you go, what's for you, you're like, this is what I'm moving towards? Because I'm assuming there's a vast difference between,
Yeah.
But honestly, not the answer that the 3.5 years ago version of you would have said to somebody to impress him. Mm-hmm. What was really in your heart that you're like, this was the goal of life versus now?
I deeply wanted respect. I really wanted Paige to respect me. And I think ultimately that's, it's very vague and simply put, but, I would try to make a lot of money and buy Paige a lot of stuff to buy respect, to earn respect. And, when you do that stuff, but you're not home or you're out late and you're not helping with the kids or you're not doing this, it's nice, but it doesn't, the things that actually mattered to her were not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
But what I was doing at work was being acknowledged by the wrong guys.
Right.
People that wanted money, that wanted their respect.
Yeah.
And so I start leaning in towards where I get respect from.
Yeah.
And that was not my family. It was not my wife, it wasn't my girls. And so I think that created probably the biggest divide between us. Same with my, outside of Paige and the girls, my life at church and my brothers and all this stuff. It's like, you guys don't understand what I'm sacrificing to go make the money I'm making, which is such a facade in and of itself. But, I just wanted to feel like I've always had this desire to provide, be the guy.
Yeah.
And I want to give my family anything and everything,
Yeah.
And I truly thought I was doing that. And in my false narrative that I was believing, it was them who was not appreciative of everything that I was doing.
Wow. So did you, and this is a question, but did you, if Paige were to have said something back then about why are you drinking so much, whatever, right? Would that kind of been that's really what you're focusing on? You know,
Yeah,
I bought you a car. You know,
100%.
I don't know if you bought a car, but you know,
No,
what
we've
I'm saying?
had this conversation
Okay.
1,000 times. You know, it was like listen, when you married me, this was me. Okay, I haven't yet to ask you to change. You know, it's like, why are you trying to ask? This is something I enjoy doing. You know, it's like this, you hyper focus on this and you get to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. You want to go buy the girl stuff, go do it. You want this, you get to go do it. And what matters to you is that
I drink.
I have my drinks.
Yeah, I have a little bourbon.
O'clock it.
Yeah.
A little bourbon, you know?
No, I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
But
feel
yeah,
like-
that was, we've had that argument 1,000 times, you know, and she was never shy in the things of telling me how she felt.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, you don't wake up and help with the girls. You know, I'm doing everything. After work, you get to go do what you want to do. What if I told you, hey, I want to go hang out with so-and-so?
Yeah.
My question to her was, well, who's watching the girls?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, that's not my responsibility, dog. You know, it's like, that was the whole deal.
I love when husbands talk about, and like, and sometimes they say this as a slip up. They don't mean this. And so like, you know, there's grace there. But sometimes I've had a few friends and, no, listen, like my wife is, she does some part-time stuff on social media or whatever, but she hasn't worked full time since the moment we had children.
Yeah.
And a big thing about figuring out what she was going to do is I was like, hey, whatever you decide, I'm going to figure it out. And I don't want you to have to, you know, and I know there's different family circumstances, you know, and so this is just us. But it was like, I don't want you to feel like you have to go work and put our kids with, you know, in a childcare or whatever, if that's not what you're comfortable with. And we had all these different discussions around that, but like it's just funny to me when sometimes guys will talk about like watching their kids like it's babysitting.
Yeah, I gotta go babysit.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a joke, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that can be funny. But like sometimes, you know, and my daughter the other day, and she was extremely tired. We were at church all day Sunday, all day. She went to bed later than she normally does Saturday night. She woke up earlier on Sunday morning than she normally does. So I'm just saying this to go, you know, like when a 6-year-old girl is lacking sleep, probably lacking some healthy food, probably had, you know, a donor to a church and whatever, right? They get a little sensitive and emotional and less rational, right? So with that in mind, she was like, Dad, she was, can you not golf next week? Now she thinks when I go golfing, because when I take her golfing, I buy her a Gatorade that we split, and she thinks it's more riding around. And so she thinks me golfing is me hanging out. It's not actually, you know. And she's like, Dad, because I just want to spend time with you. And it like broke my little heart. And I was like, babe, you know what? Yeah. Now, you know, it's not like I need to give up everything just to, but that kind of gets it out of the mindset of like, I'm not watching kids. Like my daughter needs time with her dad, you know?
Yeah. Which, was genuinely not a thing for us. Yeah. You know, it was like, and there's so many different thought patterns that went into my way of thinking, you know, of just like, you know, my parents are very traditional. You know, my dad's biggest supporter. My mom would do anything for my dad, and my dad went and built something, and my mom supported him and watched the kids and made dinner, did laundry, did all that stuff. And I think for my mom, that's fulfilling for her. You know, that was her part of being on the team. And my dad's been very vocal that it's like we wouldn't have won without the other team doing the things that they, you know, that they did. And so you go into marriage with this idea of this is how it's supposed to be. You know, look at him.
Right.
And Paige is a very, very independent, you know, her mom was a single mom, raised 3 kids, is a gangster in the workforce, you know, VP of some government, whatever. Worked her butt off to get to where she's at. And Paige is not some, hey, let me make your food and do your dishes while you go play golf with your friends, you know, like Paige is. And that's one of the things we learned in rehab, that I learned in in our marriage counseling. It's just that, like, my idea of marriage and raising kids and all this sort of stuff, it's not that it's necessarily wrong, but that's not our path of raising kids and being married.
Sure.
Because Paige has her idea and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, we had to work together to figure that out. And ultimately, it's really easy to think, like, for me today, it's very easy for me to go, I have an awesome life. I have a dope life. I do a job that I love. I work a lot, but I love doing it, which I'm grateful for. I'm blessed financially for doing the job at a high level, which is awesome. I live a dope life, and if you can't sit there and think about your wife, does she have the ability to say that dude, I have a dope life? Well, something's wrong. And so learning all that, sitting in rehab, being able to say that, and, Jen passing the torch to Paige, hey, how do you feel?
Yeah.
And it's not that way. It's like, dude, that was heartbreaking to me.
Yeah.
And that caused dude, I want to do anything and everything I can to where if somebody asks Paige about her life, she gets to go, I have a dope life.
Yeah.
And that changes how you think about stuff and what you do. And, trying to ask all the time, like, what can I do to be helpful? How can I help you?
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't ask. A lot of guys don't ask that.
Yeah.
In their marriage,
Yeah.
And I am not afraid to say the Bible, the head of the house is the man, all that sort of stuff, which is scripturally correct, biblically correct. I have a strong belief if you just rely on me to be the head, we're going to a lot of places we don't need to go. So, I would probably say that me and Paige are 50-50 the head. It's like, dude, she's a lot smarter than me in a lot of different areas. She got her head on straight in a lot more areas than I do. I'll be bold about it. You tell me what we're doing, and I'll go sick. But it's just over communicate where I am today, what we have today, everything that we are is a byproduct of Paige and her faithfulness. And dude, in rehab, the last couple of weeks I was in there, I read a verse in 2 Timothy, and it's if we die with him, we'll live with him. If we suffer with him, we'll reign with him. If we deny him, he will deny us. And even in our faithlessness, he remains faithful because he cannot deny himself.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, what a picture perfect.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And my wife embodies that, bro. Like,
Yeah.
And it is cool. Sit on the podcast, talk about where I come from and where I've been, and God saved my life and does on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It all started with Paige.
Yeah.
I would not be here without my wife.
I love that part of scripture that you quoted, especially that at the end, even if we, are faithless, God remains faithful. We don't we probably gotta wrap up here in a few minutes, but like, and we don't maybe have time to dive into what I mean by this per se, but like, I believe when you receive communion in a mystical way, you are receiving really the body and the blood of Christ. And I believe you are encountering Christ in a unique way when you do that. Mm-hmm. And here's kind of like the image I have. And when I receive communion at church, it's a lot of the times, not every time, but a lot of times it almost moves me to tears, because this is kind of the image I have in my head of what happens. Like, I think about, like in Romans, whatever, I don't remember what chapter, but maybe it's 6 and 7, it's around there, but how it's this illustration that we're like married to Christ, and he talks about how, if one spouse dies and you're free to marry another one, well, and he talks about the old covenant and so I think about, like, if I'm at the table with Jesus, we're in this kind of marriage or whatever, this relationship, and I go, I've been unfaithful, and I kind of get up and walk away, and he says, sit down, and I sit down, and this is kind of envisioning, and he goes, I know you've been unfaithful. He goes, but I made a vow to you. And I feel guilt-riddled, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to. He goes, no. I made a vow that I was going to keep coming to the table with you. And that's why I love that it's called the Lord's Supper. It's not my supper. He's offering the food. He goes, I want to feed you. And and I'm like, I'm not worthy. And that's why I think Paul says, that some people are dying taking the bread and the cup, communion, because they do it in an unworthy manner. And my simple thought is this: if you think you're worthy to take of the Lord's Supper, you are unworthy. If you think that I am unworthy to take of this, just like my brother and sister next to me, you are the perfect candidate to take it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's something I've thought about for a lot the last year, is just how faithful God is. How he uses people in my life to keep me that are faithful. But yeah, I just get reminded of that every Sunday of like, he's still at the table today.
Yeah.
I know I broke my vow, but he's not breaking his.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap up here with let's wrap up here with this. I think a lot of people, they might go, oh, well, do I have an issue, or do I have a problem, or how do you know when to reach out if you have an issue? And what would you encourage people with? How would you just encourage people, whether they're struggling or a family member struggling? And I'll just say this, because I think I think a lot of people, or some people, they want to help, but they don't know how. Yeah. And I remember talking to the guy at our church, Scotty, who I was telling you about, who runs Way Forward. I'm not going to say who or anything like that, but there was a person, and I said, they got drunk and around me, and I wasn't drinking or anything like that. This person kind of just showed up drunk, and I started talking to him, and I found out he had been doing coke and then drinking and whatever for the last 2.5 days and hasn't slept. And my heart just broke, but I was trying to just go, and I'm thinking, okay, God, give me the freaking words, I'm trying to. And I remember his advice was this. He goes, you have to figure out what your role is in this person's life right now. Are you going to be, what do they call him with AA? Your sponsor. He goes, not that I would actually be the sponsor, but he was just giving it. He's like, are you going to be his sponsor? Or are you going to be his friend right now? He goes, because there was one time, one of my best friends, when he decided to get sober, I said, I'm going to be your sponsor. He goes, I wasn't the right guy. He goes, just because of our history, our relationship. He goes, and I realized sometimes you got to be their friend and their encourager, and hey, I love you and I'm always here for you and you can always call me. He goes, and sometimes you shouldn't be the accountability guy. Yeah. He's like, you got to figure that out. And I think sometimes what would you say?
Dude, that's a really, really good question.
Sorry, that's a loaded question.
No,
but yeah,
it's really
share whatever
good.
you think.
The hard part about that, and again, like perception is reality, right? The only really the only thing I can go off is well, if somebody came to me in that time, type deal. And a lot of people did, and it didn't do anything, and for me, I truly do believe I had to get to a point where I had nothing else to go for, to realize that I cannot buy my way out of this. I can't fix this. I can't. And I think that there is a really hard pill to swallow there, like a truth to understand, is that for a lot of people, as supportive as you are, and you can say all the right things and do all the right things, if people aren't ready to do it, they're not going to do it, which is tough. You might get a lot of slack for that type deal. But I know for me, that's where I was. It was like I had all the people in the world I cared about who knew that I was doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing, and even friends at that time going like, hey, bro, you good? It's like, yeah, dude, I'm chilling. What do you mean? I'm living the dream, dog. I'm doing great. And so that's really tough. What I would say, though, is exactly that. I've been asked a lot to call people and like, hey, help them type deal. And it's like, I'd love to chat with them, but I do not have the bandwidth to be there. Hey, call me every minute you can type thing.
The accountability guy. Yeah.
and people do need that though. And
Yes.
so it's like finding that. But like you said, support and encouragement is really, don't ever stop. And I guess I would say that if you ever feel like you should call somebody and say something, then you definitely should. With Ruby passing away the way he did, and I knew that dude was struggling, and I didn't call. And that's always something that like.
And I had met Ruby.
Yeah.
Knew him, but I mean, not a lot, right? Did he? And forgive me for asking, but did he pass from?
Yeah, he overdosed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was
Yeah. And so just like I knew that guy struggled. That's why me and that guy got along so well. It's like we were one and the same, man. We thought a lot, very similar. We struggled with the same stuff. We like to have fun the same ways. But what you don't want to do is have something happen and then you go, dang, I never called.
Yeah.
Because that's a really tough mental deal to get over or deal with. Like nobody wants to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so if you feel like you should call somebody and talk to them, support them, you should.
Yeah.
You should always offer support.
Yeah.
And I'm praying for you, I'm rooting for you type deal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like that
tough. Though. It's a tough one to answer.
You never I don't think I will ever regret encouraging somebody.
Yeah.
I'll only regret. I remember a pastor telling me this one time. I think it was Pastor Banning Leapshire. He said, you're never going to get to a spot in your life where you're like, man, I wish I didn't encourage more people. He's like, he just challenged me. He goes, be a man that encourages. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And I try to encourage my wife and I try to, encourage my kids and people in our church. And encouragement's not like sugarcoating stuff.
Right.
It's not going, hey, it's all good. I love the idea. It's putting courage in somebody. It's like, hey, you can do this. You have to make the hard decision.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there for you. And you can call me and I love you, but you can do this.
Yeah.
And more people need that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And if people just talked more, there'd be less of this going around.
It also relieves the pressure of like, I got to be the accountability guy or fix this situation. It's like, but you could at least just call and just say, hey, I care about you. Yeah. If you ever need someone, I'm here. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on and
it was fun
and sharing. I pray that, it encourages people who watch or listen. And next time you're back in the Tri-Cities, I know you don't live here right now. Let me know. We'll have you on again. And this, because the podcast studio will maybe be done by then. We can do some other stuff as well.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, of course.